What if I told you there's a system so perfectly designed it can bypass your logic, hijack your instincts, and convince you to empty your own bank account? Well, this isn't science fiction. It's a very real cognitive exploit we're calling the command circuit. And today, we are going to take it apart piece by piece so you can see exactly how it works. You hear that? That's not just a threat. It's a precision-engineered opening move. The goal here isn't to scare you into making a mistake. No, it's much more sophisticated. It's designed to trigger a deep primal response, something called institutional submission, where a stranger's voice on the phone suddenly becomes an absolute authority that you feel physically compelled to obey. So, here's our briefing. We're going to start with the master key they use to gain compliance. Then, we'll look at the psychological trap they set, dissect the anatomy of their attack, and uncover the social hardware they're exploiting. And most importantly, we're going to arm you with a solid defensive protocol and the one crucial test you can use for any claim of authority. All right, let's kick things off with a paradox. We all rely on signals of authority to get through the day, right? It's how society works. But here's the twist. In the world of these scams, the more official, the more authoritative, the more professional that caller sounds, well, the more likely it is that you're about to hand them the keys to your entire life. Think about it. Your desire to follow the rules, to cooperate, to be a good citizen, that's what holds our world together. But for a predator, that instinct is a massive vulnerability. They've figured out that our built-in respect for authority is the perfect weapon. Why bother trying to pick a lock when you'll just hand them the key? So how in the world do they actually do it? Well, they exploit a fundamental flaw in our own psychological hardware. It's like a loophole in our brain's operating system that lets them flip a switch and take control. It's called the Agentic State trap. In plain English, the Agentic State is a mental shift where you stop being the captain of your own ship. You become just a crew member following orders. All of a sudden, you're not thinking about the consequences of your actions anymore, because in your mind, you've handed all that responsibility over to the person in charge. This is where it gets really interesting. On one side, you have your normal autonomous self making your own decisions. On the other, you have this state of institutional submission. Scammers are masters at using jargon, official-sounding phrases, and a very assertive tone to literally push you from one side to the other until you're not thinking anymore. You're just reacting. Okay, now let's get clinical and look at the core framework of this attack. This is not a random phone call. It's a methodical, multi-phase operation, and it's designed specifically to shut down your logic and activate your obedience reflex. We're going to analyze this just like an intelligence analyst would study the blueprint for a psychological virus. Phase 1 is all about establishing dominance, and fast. The scammer asserts authority. They don't ask for it. They'll use these high-status anchors, things like badge numbers, case IDs, to create an immediate power gap. So let's be clear. This isn't a conversation. It's a process designed to make you submit physiologically. Once that power dynamic is set, they deploy the hook. This is the part that gets so many people. They'll read you your own address, maybe the last 4 digits of your social security number, all data scraped from the dark web. And this proof creates a moment of absolute certainty. Your brain's question instantly shifts from, wait, is this real? To, oh my gosh, how do I fix this? And just like that, your critical thinking is offline. Now, with your defenses totally down, they move to instruction and isolation. They'll start issuing standard procedures and tell you the matter is highly confidential because of a, pending federal investigation. Suddenly, you can't talk to your spouse, you can't call your lawyer, you can't even talk to your bank manager. They are literally using the language of the law to cut you off from anyone who could break the spell. And here it is, the final act. You're instructed to liquidate your savings and convert the funds into a secure digital bond to protect them. They'll even give you a fake receipt to make you feel safe. And then comes the silence trap. They tell you official documents will arrive in the mail in a few days, giving them all the time they need to disappear with your money. Okay, so we've seen the how. Now let's dig into the why. Why does this performance work so incredibly well? It's because it targets deep-seated psychological principles that are ingrained in us over thousands of years of evolution. At the very heart of this entire scam is something called authority bias. We're basically programmed to follow the leader. It was a crucial survival trait for our tribal ancestors. But in the digital age, this mental shortcut is the perfect tool for a con artist. We automatically just defer to the expert, to the person who sounds like they're in charge. This right here shows the battle happening inside your head. Your analytical brain, it's slow, it's deliberate. But your obedience reflex, that's on autopilot. Scammers use what's called bureaucratic pacing, throwing jargon at you, making you wait on a fake hold to keep things moving just fast enough that your analytical brain can't catch up. Your obedience reflex takes the wheel and your logic gets left in the dust.
If you take away only one thing, let it be this. The scammer isn't using some fancy technological exploit. It's a social one. They are hacking your morality. Your desire to be a good person, a good citizen, becomes the ultimate leverage, turning your own integrity into a weapon against you.
Look, understanding the attack is step one. But now we've got to talk defense. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about having a clear, simple protocol for when, not if, you get targeted. Here is your 4-step defense plan. First, the aggression audit. Any message of obey me right now or else is always a predatory red flag. Real institutions have a process. They don't make threats. Second, the chain of command shield. You hang up and you verify the caller through an official public phone number or website. Third, the policy rule. No legitimate agency will ever demand payment over the phone. And finally, you report that call to help protect other people. Memorize this sentence. This is your circuit breaker. It is a calm, professional way to take back control. Notice it doesn't accuse them of anything. It simply states your policy. This script is a logical weapon against a psychological rush, and it forces your analytical brain to come back online. And you'll know it's working by how they react. A scammer will immediately escalate. They'll get angry, they'll threaten you, because their one and only goal is to keep you on that phone. But a real official? They'll acknowledge your right to verify because they work within a system that has accountability. They expect it. So let's boil all of this down to one essential guiding principle. This is the ultimate litmus test for any unsolicited demand for your obedience.
This is the key mindset shift that will protect you. Questioning a supposed authority figure isn't being rebellious, it's being diligent. In fact, as a responsible citizen, it is your duty to verify that the authority you're about to respond to is actually legitimate. And that brings us to the mantra. Remember this. Real authority is built on transparent, verifiable processes. A scam is built entirely on the power of a single, isolated voice demanding that you trust it and it alone. If they won't let you hang up and use the process, that's because they aren't part of it. So we'll end with this question for you. When that call comes, and for many of us it will, the pressure is going to be intense. The voice will sound completely convincing. But now you know the code behind their commands. You know the trap they're setting. The choice is yours. Are you going to obey the voice, or are you going to trust the process? Stay vigilant.